Yo, what's going on, my boys? Welcome back to another video. Now, today's video, we got our first full-on One Piece versus battle. Now, I know what I said in the Fujitora versus Naruto versus video, that One Piece videos are extremely hard to do. But, to spread out the channel throughout animes and try not to keep it strictly Naruto, I guess I'll go and give it a try. It can't hurt to try. If I do good on this one, I feel like you guys enjoyed this one, I did good from your feedback, I'll continuously do some more One Piece versus battles. But, this would be the first one. I thought this would be a very interesting one, being two really good swordsmen, really top tier swordsmen, being Dracula Mihawk and Kozuki Oden. Now, we're going to get straight into the video, but like I said, I'm going to try and give my best shot and do a good One Piece versus battle, but these things are hard with the limited feats they have. Alright, now getting it started, I have figured out that trying to do a One Piece video, it is definitely a lot easier to break your video into different sections. And unlike Naruto videos where you can go off a lot of feats that these characters have, it's a lot harder in One Piece, like I've stated many times already. So I'm going to kind of break this up into a few parts. I think I'll put it up on, I think I'll break it up into like cutting power or just raw power in general. Some of their feats that we can find and their haki, and I'll probably come up with a conclusion after that. And so getting straight into the video, we're going to start off with, just power, cutting power, raw power. And from what we've seen from, let's start off with Mihawk. From what we've seen from Mihawk definitely has some intense cutting power and just raw strength as it is. Because when we first see Mihawk, he's rolling in on his coffin boat, and he immediately dices up a boat, a whole ship, just in one swing. And other feats that he has are like, even though this isn't canon, in the Stampede movie, Milhawk cut Fujitora's meteor in half because, well, I wouldn't say he cut it in half. Zoro initially cut it in half, and then Milhawk kind of basically finished it off, which is, that's pretty impressive, considering the fact that was a pretty big thing, and Zoro was only able to cut it in half, and basically Milhawk was able to destroy the rest of the entire thing. So, that's pretty impressive on his behalf. And also, when during the Marineford arc, Milhawk was about to fight Luffy, or they were already in conflict, and he was about to swing Yuri, and Luffy somehow managed to dodge it. And what we see behind him is that from miles away, I'm talking this was far away, Milhawk ended up cutting one of the huge icebergs that Aokiji froze earlier from Whitebeard's Tremor fruit, which when he made some earthquakes and the sea quakes and all that, and Aokiji ended up freezing them. And so Milhawk freezes these things. Milhawk didn't freeze them, Aokiji freezes them, but Milhawk was able to cut this from so far away. It was the shockwave from his Yuri, which is the name of his blade. I'm sorry I didn't state that, but yes, Yuri is the name of his blade, or if you want to call it Dark Blade if you watched it in the anime, So yeah, the force of it was able to cut a clean, and this was no small portion of it. It was a humongous portion of this freaking iceberg, and he did not come in contact with it. It was just a raw, just physical, like, it was amazing. I don't even know the words for it. It was just straight out, flat out amazing, is all I can say. Now, for Oden, on the other hand, Oden has probably a little bit more when it comes to it, because, in the Wano arc, it was like, I want to say is it Act 3? I want to say Act 2 and Act 3 were a lot for Oden, especially more so in Act 3. Act 3 was definitely a lot for Oden. And in this, we got to see Oden end up cutting that really big bull that was like freaking Kinemon and Denjiro had ended up taking a little baby. I don't even know what you want to call this. I don't know if that was a hog or what it was, but they took a little baby of it, and a humongous mother came out of nowhere. And I'm talking about, this thing is huge as well. Like, it might be on the same size as that iceberg that Milhawk cut off. But Oden just easily one-shot this thing, split it in half with both of his blades. Like, Emma is no joke. Like, I can't remember the second blade. I'm gonna put it up on the screen, but I know for the fact that Emma is one of his blades, and I know that just because Zoro has that blade now. Now also, with Oden's power, we all know Oden was able to, you know, I wouldn't say spar with Whitebeard because he did kind of get beat really bad, but his cutting power and raw strength was enough to actually be the only person to ever damage Kaido. So that's really big for him, you know, and that also falls into the feat section as well. So while I'm here, I might as well start talking about Oden's feats, being, like I said a little bit earlier, that he was able to spar with Whitebeard, even though he got beat really, he kind of got beat. I mean, as we all know, I mean, I expected that, but at least he recognized Whitebeard's power going into that, and he still was able to go out there and, you know, he was like, I'm gonna give it a shot. And I mean, he did okay, but he relatively got beat pretty badly. But, you know, that's still a feat for him. And like I said not too long ago, him being the first and only person, well, I wouldn't say first, but him being the only person, well, I'm just contradicting myself at that point. If he's the first, then he's the only one. Anyways, you guys know what I'm trying to say. I'm just terrible with words right now. But him being one of the only ones to ever scar Kaido and leave a mark. And if you see Kaido, it's sitting right on his chest in Wano in the present time. He sliced him up when he was in his dragon. And, you know, that's really impressive for him because, you know, for a lot of these other characters, they don't have a feat that comes that close to being able to scar Kaido. Even Luffy was throwing out Gear 4 attacks and wasn't able to, I mean, damage Kaido that much. So, I mean, that just shows, like, how strong Oden really was. Now, for Milhawk, you know, his main feat is one person and one person only, and that's Shanks. Shanks is probably his only real feat besides what I told you about a little earlier with him cutting the iceberg. And of course, I mean, the stuff that we know in that happened in Marineford, those are all feats as well, because we've only seen Milhawk a handful of times, and when he does show up, it's like he does an attack or two and he's gone. And even that was how it was in Marineford. I mean, he threw an attack at Luffy, he tried to cut him, and he probably tried to cut Luffy about 3 or 4 times, and that was honestly the most attacks I remember him throwing. I mean, he sparred with Vista for a second. He kind of fought Crocodile for a little bit, and that was about, you know, as much as I can think of right off the top of my head from his Marineford feats. And also, like I said, Shanks is a really big part of Milhawk, because even Whitebeard stated, and everyone knows it, that Shanks and Milhawk used to, as they say, shake the sea with their sparring matches, with their duels. And as we all know, Shanks eventually became one of the emperors of the sea. And the only reason they stopped dueling is because Shanks ended up losing an arm. So, I mean, as we all know, Shanks lost that arm about, if I remember, 10 or 11 years before the One Piece story started. And so that means that's relatively as long as it's been since they sparred. So if you think that Milhawk was able to give up on Shanks just because he lost the arm, you know, honestly, I've always thought that that might make him stronger than Shanks if he felt that he couldn't spar him with one arm. But I mean, that does hurt his pride as a swordsman as well, to fight a one-armed swordsman. So I mean, you can also take it that way. But at the end of the day, you know, that's his biggest thing, being able to spar with Shanks. And I mean, it's probably like Shanks probably did come out on top in a few more of those, because, you know, I mean, it's all speculation, honestly. Shanks was on a crew with some of the strongest swordsmen ever, being Roger and Rayleigh, who are like some top tier swordsmen, because we knew Rayleigh was a swordsman, and we figured out Roger was a swordsman as well in the Wano arc. So, I mean, he was on a crew with 2 of those guys, so I'm pretty sure he's picked up some swordsman skill. And, you know, I mean, it's all speculation who came out on top more, you know, we'll probably never ever know. But yeah, on to Haki. Now, Haki, as we all know, is a big part in One Piece, especially after the post-time skip. Yeah, they made it extremely big. They made Haki to the point where it's a win or lose a fight based off Haki. So when it comes to Haki, Oden probably definitely has Milhawk beat in certain aspects because, as we know in Wano, they even the boss Hagoromo, if I remember that's how you pronounce his name, he has the advanced armament Haki, and I would presume that Oden has that as well, considering the fact that boss Hagoromo was around Oden a lot when he was still in Wano, and I mean it would only make sense that Oden would probably have advanced armament Haki, and we all know he has Conqueror's Haki. Observation Haki, I'm honestly not sure if he has it or not. I guess it's safe to assume he has it since he has the other two. So I mean, we can say he has observation Haki. It's not gonna change a lot. Milhawk on the other hand, we don't know what he has. But I can definitely state this with confidence and say he doesn't have Conqueror's Haki, because that would have made him a lot more of an issue. I mean, if he does, I would not be surprised, but I think I can say with confidence that Milhawk doesn't have Conqueror's Haki, but I would be extremely surprised if he doesn't have advanced armament Haki, at least some type of high tier armament Haki, being the swordsman that he is. And I'm pretty sure Milhawk has observation as well. And so in Haki, it would change this fight a lot, but honestly, the reason I feel like it doesn't, and actually I'm not going to get into that just yet because that's going to roll into my conclusion. Now, actually I'm going to start going into the conclusion right now because Haki, I just wanted to touch on that real quick, explain both characters' Hakis. Oden probably has the upper hand in Haki, like I said a little bit earlier. He has, advanced armament. He has Conquerors, which we know for a fact. It's no speculation anymore. It used to be a speculation, especially when I was reading the manga, but now when it was animated, it was definitely confirmed. We saw that red, beautiful aura. And now we'll move into the conclusion section of this. And honestly, I'm gonna give it to my main man, Dracula Mihawk. Now, hear me out. I was initially rooting for Oden. I'm not gonna even cap. When I came into this, and before I started doing more research on it, I was like, oh yeah, Oden wins. Conqueror's Haki, they act like it's the most cracked thing in the show. Like, Oden wins, no diff. But then I started to think to myself, like, man, Shanks has Conqueror's Haki. And if Milhawk was dueling with him all this time, that means he's already fought a Conqueror's Haki user. So it's not like it's something that will change the tide of the fight as much as I truly thought. So then that's what, now that I'm telling you guys this, that's what really shifted my opinion on this fight. Because truly, I honestly thought that Oden would win. But when I started to think about the fact that Shanks had Conqueror's Haki, Milhawk was fighting Shanks on an even par, Yuri is like actually a graded sword above both of Oden's swords. Did a little research on that. Yuri is a top tier graded sword in One Piece. And so like, even though Oden has him and probably he might have him in speed, but we truly don't know with One Piece characters. The speed feats are so wonky in my opinion. But I mean, we do know that Oden probably has him in Haki. Milhawk probably has the more destructive power. Oden probably has more feats, but that's just because we have not seen as much of Milhawk. I mean, Act 3, like I said earlier, was really dedicated straight to Oden. So we were able to get so much of his feats and so much of his backstory. So hopefully one of these days we'll get something like that on Milhawk, or we'll just get a backstory on him anyways. But for now, I think it's safe to assume that, well, not safe to assume, but it's safe to, state my answer being that I would give the winner to my main man, Milhawk. Now, if you go down in the comment section below, I want you guys, before you even comment anything else, I want you to comment who you think will win. Because I love to see you guys' opinion on this, because, everyone has a different opinion on anything. I mean, on everything. So if you make it to the end of the video, please go down there, comment below, tell me who you thought would have won. And while you're down there, you might as well leave another One Piece versus battle if you're a fan of it, because I'm a big fan. I actually quite enjoyed making this video because it was different, it was interesting. And so with that being out the way, our winner is Mr. Milhawk. Sorry, Mr. Oden, but maybe next time. And so with that little stuff out the way, I think I can safely wrap this video up with the points I've made. Let me know if I did a good job on this One Piece versus battle. I truly don't know. I think I did a solid job, but you know, I'll never know until I get you guys' feedback. So with that little stuff out the way, I'll see you guys in the next video.